Hi, this is Sean Bodley with Clear Technologies, and I'm about to demonstrate how to create SAN-based heart beating in a virtualized environment for PowerHA version 7. Now, this feature is often referred to as SANCOM or SFWCOM, and that's because it's an association with the device name that's created when you use this type of heart beating. So let me give a little bit of an overview about SAN-based heart beating specifically. This is actually a picture I took from an existing 711 Red Book. I like it a lot to show what's going on here. Is that to use SAN heart beating, we actually have to create virtual Ethernet adapters between the client partition and the VIO server or servers on each physical managed system. And it seems a little bit strange to talk about Ethernet when we're talking about SAN heart beating, but we use this VLAN 3358, and on the VIO server level we actually get this special device called SFCOM. And this special device is actually kind of a translator between the fiber channel card up to the actual client partitions using the virtual Ethernet through the hypervisor. So we do this on each managed system that is hosting a PowerHA cluster node. Now, there's a couple of key requirements that's actually pretty well documented on settings that are needed to use this. First, you have to have a fiber adapter that supports target mode. That's usually 4 gig and 8 gig. Most newer adapters in recent years support target mode. And you have to enable target mode at the VIO server level on the FCS device. And then you also need to enable at the FSCSI level dynamic tracking and fast fail, but that's a good recommendation in most cases to have that enabled regardless of using SAN heart beating at all. So another key requirement is that you must have the HBAs in the same zone. So you have to have your fiber cards zoned together. Now you can be creative as far as if I have multiple fiber cards, then I can create individual zones so I can have truly separate heart beating paths. You can kind of see I've got multiple lines here, but I could actually create a zone with one adapter from each VIO server, and then I could create another zone for a second VIO server adapter, and have very separate heart beating paths. So that's just another way to make it even more redundant. Now, SAN-based heart beating is the only heart beating in PowerHA version 7 which is optional. You have to use IP Ethernet heart beating, either unicast or multicast, and you have to have a shared repository disk. You don't have to have SANCOM enabled, but you can. And it's one of those things that it's just considered the more diversely routed and unique type of communications you can have between the servers, the better off you are and less likely to ever report a false failure. So now let me switch over to my environment. I've already got a recording set up of my environment that I'm going to run through. Okay, here we go. And what I've got here is that the top two screens are my two VIO servers, the red and yellow, on one of my managed systems, and the bottom one is my actual client node, Jessica. So what I'm showing is that how my devices are configured. I've already got some comms configured, but I'm going to get a COM 2 because I actually deleted it to start this demo. You can see that my adapter had TME enabled, dynamic tracking, and the fast fail for the error detection. Now, as I showed in the diagram, there's actually a virtual Ethernet adapter that gets configured. So another thing that I'm going to show before and after is that when I configure this, I also get yet another Ethernet interface. Now, it doesn't have any kind of IP address on it at all, you'll just see another one. So at the bottom here on my client node, you can see that I don't have an SFWCOM device configured. I've only got 2 virtual Ethernets configured. I will get another one. And then this last command is the ls cluster command, is looking to see if there's an SFWCOM device that's part of the CAA cluster, and there is not. So now all I'm doing is showing that I do have a running cluster. So I can actually add this while the cluster is live. It's actually picked up by the CAA cluster, and I don't have to do any changes to PowerHA at all. So now I'm going to go to my first VIO server, and I'm going to dynamically add a new virtual Ethernet adapter specifying the exact VLAN that we have to use of 3358. Now, this is simple, quick, and easy, just as I'm showing here. Now, the other thing to remember is that even though I'm showing how to do this through DLPAR, is to remember to actually change the VIO server partition profile settings, so you add those adapters and tell them to also come up on boot up, because of course with dynamic LPAR it won't maintain those, but I'm showing dynamic LPAR just to make this quick. So I added one on each VIO server, and now I need to do the same thing to my client partition. So if I go down to Jessica, I'm going to add one more virtual Ethernet for 3358. If I can actually choose the right option, let's try that again. So I'm going to add an adapter. Put in the virtual ID of 3358, tell it OK. So that's it from the HMC side. That's all I got to do. Now I'll switch back over to physically being on the VIO servers themselves, to the terminal windows, and I'm going to run Config Manager on each one of them. And what this is going to do is it's going to create my new SFWCOM device, and it's also going to generate the corresponding Ethernet device to go along with it. Okay, so it's done on the first one. Now let's check my adapters. We're going to check the SFWCOM first. So I've got SFCOM2 available, and now if I check my Ethernet adapters, I've got an ENT9 that I didn't have before, so those two are related. So now I'm just going to repeat on each one. I'm going to do the same thing on the next VIO server, and I'm going to do the same thing on the client partition. So now on the second VIO server, I check for SFWCOM. I've got COM2. I had a hole in my names again because I deleted it all before I started the demo. And now I've got ENT9. So those are both available. So now I do it on the client partition. I check SFWCOM. I've actually got the device now on my client. I can check the adapters. I've got the ENT2 that I didn't have before. And now if I check the cluster the status, or this cluster status, you can see that SFWCOM is up. So after the device is initiated, it comes up automatically and CAA detects it and starts using it. So there's not any setting within PowerHA that I have to set up or define. I don't add a network. I don't do anything to topology. And as I just shown, I can do this dynamically. Now, of course, if I have additional nodes in the cluster on other managed machines, I just simply repeat the process. And that's it. So I'm going to wrap up this demo. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email at sbodley@cleartechnologies.net. And I'm always open to suggestions. So if there's something else you want to see and I can accommodate, I'll be glad to try it. Thanks a lot for watching.